So, I don't know how I've been playing this game all my life, but I've never realized this. Maybe because every time I ever walk around this area, I'm always on the chocobo, but, you can just re-enter the Desert Palace from here? I don't know why I've never thought to do this. I guess because there isn't really, like, it's not like you need to. There's nothing here, ever. And if, I believe if you come here before the Kuja stuff, like, there's no music playing, and, like, this ladder obviously doesn't get lowered, but, like, yeah, no, if you really want to, you can, in fact, just come back here. I don't know why this has literally never occurred to me. Like, that's just wild. I've always thought this is a one-time area once you leave. I always thought, like, oh, you know, when you leave this area and you immediately go into the boat because there is no exit. No, there actually is. It's just... I don't know why. Like I said, I guess because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that you can come back here because there's nothing to come back for, but... Hey, if you want, there's the Mog shop if you don't want to go all the way to Oilfurt. And I guess there are some encounters in here, right? Yeah. I mean, this place is good experience at this point, so... Yeah. How about that? If you're curious, by the way, if you try to come here before you know about this place, like, existing, you just cannot enter at all. It just doesn't exist at all to enter, so you don't have to... There's no shenanigans with, like... music or whatever. It just is not available, which makes sense because I guess they don't want to spoil it, and like also you wouldn't really know that this place exists anyways. So yeah. Something else that's kind of interesting about the Desert Palace, and this is another one of those things you'd have no reason to actually see, but like all the puzzles are essentially like I don't know how you put it, like they're like automatically solved once you leave, or like not even like the bookcases go back to normal and I cannot move them anymore because I can't interact with any of the candles at this point. But the things are back in place, so you can't go out to those little spots anymore. And I think everything else is basically, like, nothing else really notably gets set because, like, it doesn't really matter, but... Like, you can't see anything anymore, essentially, is what's happening here. You know what I mean? Like, I forget, actually, what wouldn't be set up, basically, but... I'm actually kind of curious now. I'm gonna try to go back to the start here. I'm gonna keep recording, because screw it, I might as well at this point. Kind of curious. So, for crying out loud, really? I didn't even get an encounter in this room last time and I was lollygagging. If it's an enemy we can show off. Hey, the Toramas! Nice, actually this works. Okay. I need Vivi's turn right away. Because I want to see if... So first of all, their attack patterns change based on whether they've electrocuted or not. Secondly, once they use Electrocute, just like the Zagnals, their script basically says, hey, you should absorb Thunder Elemental now. However, I'm kind of curious about this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Let's see if this is actually true or not. Because the wiki says they just absorb Thunder. Interesting. So... the wiki says they just absorb thunder, and that appears to be the case. However, the electrocute attack does tell them to now absorb lightning, so I guess that at some point maybe they just resisted thunder and didn't absorb it, or whatever the case may be. These guys also notably, how can I even like try to like show this off? This is kind of tricky to show off, but these guys can cast Osmos if you drain them of most of their MP before they get a chance to electrocute, which is kind of the problem. It's kind of hard to do that before they get around to it, right? Because once they've electrocuted, you're like, that's it, you know? So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to stop one of them if I can. This is a bit annoying to show off because, like, as soon as they use the electrocute, like, that's it. But I can stop him at least and try to, like, micromanage his MP while he's doing that. And as for this guy, I'll just silence him, hopefully, so he can not cast on us. There we go. Now we just need to magic hammer this guy a few times. See how that works out for us. Let me just double check here. So they have a little over 1,000 NP, so I gotta keep that in mind. If I can. Yeah, command failed, whatever, blah blah blah. They are also actually weak to water, which I didn't realize it. I guess their cat weakness is real. Like, for some reason I didn't think it was. I thought that was just like, haha. You know, they aren't weak to water because they're cats, but I guess they kind of are. Although they're also electrical based, so maybe that's also why. Who knows? Could be one or the other. Let me scan him. I think scanning does... For crying out loud, Dagger! This is kind of important. Stop failing everything. It's not important at all, but still, for crying out loud. Let's see how much MP this guy has. He needs, like... Really, Dagger? Holy shit! She has failed, like, literally every attack I've tried to make her do this fight. Except the silence, somehow. I want to see how much MP this guy has. He's at level 30. He's got 70. Oh, perfect! Perfect. Yeah, we go against water. I guess let's just throw a potion at Quinn too in the meantime so he doesn't die. So now, oh. I just realized we need, oh no. Did I bone myself here? I think I might have screwed myself here. I don't remember if remedies cure stop. Apparently I'll never know because Dagger can't do anything, jeez. If I remember correctly, I don't think these cure stop, unfortunately. Oh, they do! Okay, thank God. Okay. So he's got 17 MP. And there's the Osmos. When they go below 20 MP, they'll cast Osmos. How nice for us. All that work just to show off one attack that isn't anything special, but it does have a pretty unique criteria because it's not, like, 20 MP is not low enough for them to not be able to cast anything, because they can still cast poison, but they check specifically if they have enough MP to cast Bio, I believe, right? Because Bio is 18. Actually, maybe not even. Let me double check on this over here, because it's the specific numbers. Oh, it's actually 25 even. So it's a little higher than that, so. But that's all their attacks, at least. Oh, right, yeah, we were trying to run back to the start, though. Remember that, the whole thing? But I'm glad I got to show up the Tiramas. That Osmos is a pretty rare attack. Since, like, once they electrocute, they start just doing Blaster, basically. They won't do their other attacks anymore, so, like... the idea of them getting low on MP before they've casted Electrocute is, like, pretty uncommon. Unless you're, like, you know, specifically gaming it like I did. Anyways, there's this room, which has encounters in it, which I thought it didn't at first, but here we are. Hey, maybe we'll see the Drakens, and then we'll be full circle. There we go, perfect. So let me just quickly go, because I didn't have the information typed up, but I know that they have something interesting, because I know that they have an attack. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see freeze from them, but that's obviously nothing special. It's just a random attack they cast, and we've seen it before. But I didn't show off that they can counter magic with reflect. These guys also have a similar thing going that the Armstrongs had, where they have an HP limit counter, or like an HP limit set up, so that if their HP is below a certain amount, they won't counter anymore. Is he not going to counter? Which is kind of a weird thing, actually. Their HP is limited to... So their first HP limit counter is a third, and then the second one is half. Oh, so he really doesn't want to counter, apparently. My guy, you want to counter? Am I gonna have to heal you? I'm casting Blizzard and Fire on you. Really? So just for reference sake, let me just double check this. The chance of encountering is... let me see here, actually. I can't actually tell. Oh, maybe they only... Oh, I understand now. It's not like with the Armstrong, but it uses a similar system. But basically, once their HP goes below a certain amount, they guarantee to counter with their attack. So let me... how much MP does this guy... How much HP does this guy have right now? I shouldn't be fucking surprised, but let's just throw it at Blizzara then. Oh man, he absorbed Vivi's brain. He sure does like to absorbing brains, huh? Alright, so... Cast Blizzara on this guy. Should easily tank it because they've got a lot of HP. Now he'll cast Reflect, to put him down below his threshold. For magic it's half, and then for physical attacks it's a third, so I think actually even... if I physically attack him with, like, you know, the Mage Bum Brothers over here. Come on, Dagger. Can he only counter once per fight? That's my question. Oh, I did... I guess we'll never know, because I accidentally... I don't know why I've been doing that so much. I keep accidentally attacking with Zidane. Well, I mean, I'm not doing that, but I'm like getting mixed up. That sucks. Well, I mean, if we see another one, that'll be fine, but... This is a bit more informal than usual, because usually I edit these down, but just wanted to show off that you can just backtrack to the whole area, like, why not? I didn't actually walk out of this room for some reason, which is actually kind of interesting. I didn't even realize that. I wonder why he does that. There's these rooms over here we cannot go into, of course, unfortunately. I'm kind of curious, too. These are even still here, so... I almost thought, like, maybe these would be gone at this point, but no, they're still here. And we can see Mojito's Mog Shop. Yeah, I mean, that's all for this area. There's nothing special. Unfortunately, without the black mages here, you can't teleport out of here from here, so... we're kind of just SOL. You can kind of see the lava here, though, which is kind of fun. I didn't even point this out right here. That's so weird, though. He walks out of this room transition. I wonder why. That's like such a random niche thing. Like, I wonder why they did that. I guess I'll run around, and if we get the Draken encounter, I'll try to get the Van. I mean, we already saw it, but I'm kind of curious if you can make them like counter both, or if it's just a one-time thing. Hey, lucky me. All right, so first of all, let's wait for him to do his thing. Alright, so I guess I'll cast, like... I don't want to cast something too strong, so we'll just cast Bio. Of course. I'm so surprised. Dagger couldn't concentrate. It's not quite half his HP. But it's a good chunk, and that means now I can just kind of... I was going to Bio his back, even. Alright, so now I'll fire him, and that should be enough to put him under a third. Yo, note that the Draken is considered big enough that it's automatically using the multi-target attacks here. That isn't enough. Okay, wow. Let me try that again. I was maybe gonna... Nope. It is poison though. And if I try to cure it with magic, Dagger will just say nope, can't concentrate. There we go, that sets up the Reflect. Now we start smacking him and see if he'll counter with Reflect or with Vanish as well. I swear to God, Dagger. Okay. Alright, come on, come on, come on. No, it's looking like this is a one-time counter. Dagger even killed it. Yeah, okay, so they can counter once per fight at a different threshold depending on whether you use a physical attack or a magic attack, but yeah. That's everything about the Desert Palace, except for the boss, which we'll go over in just a second here. I didn't even point that out way back when, but like, this is very obviously an allusion to the Warning Triad from Final Fantasy VI. Like, when you look at these three statues and like read the descriptions, like like the way they're arranged in this triangle stuff too, like that's probably a reference to that, right? So, by the way, if you're curious, if you don't light up those pictures on the side there, you cannot light this candle. You can actually kind of see one of the candles from here too, but yeah, you cannot. You actually do need to do like some of the puzzles here. It's weird because it's like I will spoil this right now. The boss powers itself up through the candles, and it's like, okay, but like you almost like you really have to go out of your way to do like a very specific sequence for it to fully power itself up, because you have to do like half the puzzles anyways, and then also ignore the ones that like power it up. Because like the only one, like when you get to like, for example, that triple door puzzle, you have to light the candles in a specific sequence to like run around the different areas and like make the statues disappear. You have to complete that one, and like the thing that the you know, the gemstone is just right there, and yet you then have to just ignore that crap. Like, it's so funny how far out of the way you have to go to like not do anything here, right? Oh, one more thing I almost forgot to mention. So its name is Valley of Pyra, and some people think that its name is supposed to be Barrier Pillar, which would kind of make sense given the name and like what it is, but even its Japanese name is actually just Varia Pyra, which I guess Varia probably means like variable, which the joke is because it's a boss that's variable depending on what you've done. And I believe that actually, let me look this up, because I think that once again, this is actually on the wiki now, thankfully, so it isn't a big deal if you don't have access to this, but let me see here. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So the kanji or the kana for barrier is very similar to whatchamacallit. Actually, let me look here. Da da da. Yeah, the kana for variable and barrier are like very similar, so it's kind of funny. That actually might be the joke in Japanese. That's just something that can't really be translated over. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of like, I think I've already mentioned how Limit Glove and Limit Globe are very similar and could theoretically be the same thing, but technically in Japanese it is, you know, Limit Glove as well. So, you know, anyways. Hey, look, it's Valia Pyra. He's gonna do his thing. So on this playthrough, I have not grabbed any Bloodstones, so we're gonna get to see what it actually does. Disables elemental attacks, enhances magic power, enhances defense, enhances evasion. It actually tells you exactly which stones it is, too. Shadow Rune Stone 1 enhances magic defense. Shadow Rune Stone 2 enhances magic evasion. Active Bloodstones detected 6. One thing they also don't tell you about is that he has a couple new attacks if he has 5 or 6 Bloodstones active. That being said, Valia Pyra is kind of a weird boss in that regard, because it's like there's 1 or 2 stones that can be kind of easy to miss, but I feel like most of them are like, you know, like you would have to be an idiot to not grab them, especially because some of them, like I mentioned, the alternate, the like weird backroom statue one. It's like you literally have to do that one in order to like be here, and like you also have to like go everywhere. You have to activate certain the things in the background, like you can see right there. You have to activate those specific candles in order to even activate this boss fight. If you don't activate them, you can't do this yet. So like there's a lot of things that you kind of have to do. Let me see here. I also throw a tent at you first, because this guy is vulnerable to being blinded. It doesn't do much because he doesn't have physical attacks, but it does reduce his evasion to 0, which he did double, so I guess that's something you can do if you want to save on accuracy plus. But like, frankly speaking, this guy's like status enhancement isn't even that big a deal. Like the biggest one is probably like the elemental nullification, because that does make him immune to elements. Everything that's elemental does no damage now. So I'm just gonna try to blind him to start off with, just to, you know, solve the evasion problem. Not that it really matters, but I'm just showing off that he can be blinded. There you go. That reduces his evasion to 0, so if you don't want to use accuracy plus, you can save on 2 stones this way, because this nullifies his evasion. His magic evasion, like the thing is that the evasion and magic evasion are like so inconsequential, because like for one thing, they're not even that high to begin with. So like his evasion is 4 and his magic evasion is 6, so those get doubled to 8 and 12, which is like, that's not nothing, but like 8 evasion basically means that you miss about 10% of the time-ish, and like you can obviously nullify it with like blinding him. And the magic evasion is kind of in a similar boat, where like there's not much magic you usually gets that can miss anyways, right? Because like most statuses don't work on you. There is one status that you might, I guess, fail to use on, which is sleep. However, if you have Quena with you, that also is not a problem, because I believe we can just cast Night here to put it to sleep if we want to. And even with the doubled magic evasion, the chance of this guy being, you know, failed to be put to sleep with Night is like basically non-existent. So like, I mean, you could also put it to sleep and then smack it for a guaranteed 1.5 times hit, right? Considering Steiner can have Bird Killer, or like any of your physical attackers can. Uh, it does have a couple new attacks. So I'll try to get to show those off, I guess. So in fact, let's just see how much damage Steiner does. Wham! The charging energy. There you go. If it has 6 stones, it can use Holy, which will actually do quite a bit of damage. Because Holy is pretty strong with its doubled stats. Wham! Although Steiner doesn't have resistance, so that's not doing as much damage as you might think. If you're curious, with 5 stones you can use Mustard Bomb and Freeze. So those are the attacks we've been seeing all dungeon though, so it's really not that big a deal. Do boo boo! Like the big one is its defense, because its defense does actually go up quite a bit. From the 5 glowing red jewels, oh no, freeze. I think it's kind of funny that this is the 5 jewels attack, because like, we've been getting frozen and mustard bomb the whole dungeon, so like surely you have immunity to that. If it does have its double defense, this is actually a good boss for Minus Strike to like use on, because it does boost your damage quite a bit. Since, you know, it's doing fixed damage anyways. Oh, is it gonna use Mustard Bomb? There you go. Of course, even with all these things active, you can still kind of like nerf this boss by just hitting with Carbuncle. Because obviously if it's Carbunkled, all of its stuff is just going to reflect back, which, you know, I might as well. Freeze and Mustard Bomb won't reflect, but like those don't matter anyways, so like... And it can reflect itself, but obviously that doesn't matter as much. Like, it really is, the big thing is the fact that, like, right now, if I try to hit it with, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to use the quad water strat. That's not going to do anything to it now, because it nullifies that. Which does make this fight take quite a bit, like, the thing is that because most of its boosts are defensive in nature, the stones being in place mostly just makes this fight take a lot longer, more than anything. Are we gonna see Flare? This is an exception. Flare does get bounced back. And its Flare is pretty strong, so it actually should deal decent damage even with the double magic defense. And it can't nullify that because that's not elemental, so that's 1,000 damage right there. Anyways, there is another trick with this boss. A very somewhat obscure trick, but something that probably makes sense if you think about it for a second. So this boss only has magic. And so, in fact, if you can in fact drain it of all of its magic. And we got a nice 9,000 hit on that first magic hammer, so that speeds things up quite a bit. Because obviously it can also just drain itself slowly with magic. It has 9,999, so obviously at some point it would eventually drain itself, but you know, that takes forever, because like even with like using the tier 3 magic and like Holy and Flare, it still has a lot of MP. I still think it's funny this is one of its super attacks, like bro. The Drakens are just doing this for free. Like, isn't that kind of funny to think about? Like, man, poor guy. Actually, let me take a quick look-see-loo here. Is there anything else? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It has, like, equal chances to use all of its attacks. So, like, there's no, like, bias there. Boo. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, boo. Yep, that's how it goes. Equal odds to use all of its attacks. Just, if it can't use, you know, Mustard Bomb or Freeze, or, you know, Holy or Flare, it just won't use those attacks. Oh man, poor Steiner. I'll throw a high potion. Can say that thanks to Steiner having, you know, gauntlets and shield armor, he doesn't really have to worry about the damage regardless. He's tanking that shit. But yeah, like the elemental nullification and the physical defense are the two big ones, because its physical defense is actually pretty high. Its physical defense by default is 20, which is actually quite a bit higher than, you know, other stuff. Also, you'll notice we just got lost access to our ATB. We can't do it anymore because we drained its MP past the point of it being able to use magic anymore. So guess what happens? It just dies. If it has no more MP left, it dies. This is a pretty obscure detail because I can't imagine most people do it like this, but this is a pretty cool way. And like, to be frank, if it has all the stones available to it, this is actually a pretty quick way to beat it if you're lucky. If you can get lucky and get a magic hammer right off the bat. And like, it's not like we lose anything by doing it. Like, we get the elixir, you get your AP. Like, it's a pretty, like, it's the most consistent way to kill it if, you know, it's in a situation where you wouldn't otherwise be able to smack it because of the nullification. But yeah, I'm glad I got to show that off. It's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else left. Once again, I'm going to save the oil vert stuff for when we get the airship, because I'll show off the things that actually change there, which are also pretty, like, minute, obscure stuff for whatever reason. But it'll actually make sense when we get there, why there's different stuff. But the only other thing I can think of is that those Veppel fish. I thought they had a water gun attack. They do not. I'm stupid. I'm thinking of actually a different enemy that looks similar to them, let's say, that has a fire gun attack, funny enough. But I think, yeah, maybe I will do this now then. So I'm probably going to record a bunch of different playthroughs of this section with different party member compositions, because there are certain unique dialogue interactions based on like specific party member arrangements. Like, as you can imagine, Steiner and Dagger have a couple. Like, Steiner will talk to Dagger in certain situations, and Vivi also will specifically talk to the black mages if he gets the chance to, which, funny enough, you can only do if you take him with you, which is kind of funny because, like, Kuja tells you not to take magic people with you, but like, you actually get unique dialogue for taking Vivi with you. So like, that's something to keep in mind too. But yeah, that'll be it for these half parts. See you guys later. Hey, look, it's Ark. I was originally gonna wait to talk about Ark, but like, frankly speaking, there's really not much to go over with Ark. Like, its attack pattern is literally just, it uses one of its 4 attacks randomly. It just either uses Propeller Wind, Whirlwind, Photon, or Boomerang, and it just cycles through those 4, and that's literally it. Like, there are some things you can do, like you can sleep and you can put it to sleep, you can blind it, you can silence it, but like, mostly that doesn't do much. Like, putting it to sleep is useful, but darkness doesn't really help you much. Like, you can use the 10 trick on it if you want. I forget if we even have it. Like, I guess you can add status sleep works. That's your one consistent way to put it to sleep, but like, there's really not much to be done about it otherwise. Like, obviously, if you have Amaranth, Amaranth can just annihilate it with the... Let's throw a Wing Edge. Oh, I forgot to make them immune to it. Whoopsies. That's funny. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, that's not that big a deal, though, because I'll just slap them for some damage. It's fine, because watch how much damage Frey's is doing here. Wham, 4,000. Okay, Dark, what are you going to do now, huh? Can I actually throw my Wing Edge here? Oh, right, I have Healer on! I'm stupid. Well, you can see how much damage that would have done. But like, yeah, like, this guy literally just cycles through his 4 attacks. It's completely random. There is no like pattern to it or anything like that. So, like, you can pretty easily just slap Bird Killer and MP attack on everyone here, because it's not like you're doing much else. And just kind of go to town on him. I don't remember if Zidane has a Sleep Blade, like, attached to me. I don't think he does. At this point, so, like, that wouldn't help either. Like, there really is not much else to be done. Since you can't have magic, there's, you know, your options are kind of limited. Actually, I guess since we're here, this is an opportunity to mention Dragon Breath from the Dragon's Hair that Freya has here. So Dragon Breath is essentially a reverse minus strike. Rather than doing damage based on how much HP Freya has lost, in that sense, I guess it's actually a full-on reversal, not just like a halfway. Like, I don't know if there's a term, I forget what the term is for that, but basically, instead of doing damage based on how much damage Freya has lost, it does damage based on how much HP the enemy has lost. So, if we use Dragon's Breath on this guy right now after we've done, like, quite a bit of damage, guess how much damage it's going to do. Blah. Just casually does 9,400 damage. The fact that this thing works on bosses is kind of cracked. Dragon's Breath is kind of like one of those attacks that's like better than it sounds when you realize it works on bosses, because it basically becomes an easy 9999 at a certain point. And like, yeah, Freya has access to other ways to do that, but like, I'd say it's still like a pretty like effective strike. Like, it's is by far the easiest 9999 in this whole game, because you get it on disc 3 and you just have to do damage to the bosses, right? So like, it's not like anything else really matters. Propeller wind. Ooh. I guess Amaranth's about to be confused again, so let's just quickly queue up an attack for them. Because I think Freya's about to kill this guy anyways. Yep. Yeah, Freya is extremely strong right now thanks to that Dragon's Hair she has. Like, it's a very good weapon at this point, let's say that much. Especially with Dragon's Breath. Hoo-wee. But yeah, anyways, we're gonna go see our pal Sid, and he's gonna be doing his own shtick. Hey look, it's our pal Garuda. However, we're not actually here to talk about our pal Garuda, but rather talk about the spells it casts, and how they interact with a certain ability that I haven't even had a chance to talk about yet. Return Magic. It might take a little bit because we have to wait for him to actually cast on Amaranth, because Vivi can't get Return Magic until like, I think after this next dungeon? I forget when he gets the equipment that gives him access to it, but I always like to use Garuda as like my example of this, because they showcase the mechanics of Return Magic pretty well. So, when you're returning magic, you use your own magic stat in the calc, like you would expect. However, the version of the spell that you're returning is not your own version of the spell, right? So, for reference sake, Return Magic works on any sort of ability that the player has access to. Basically, all of the magic that the player has access to can be returned. That's the general rule of thumb. There's like 2 exceptions, because Arrow and Era can also be returned, even though the player doesn't have access to them, because I guess they're the traditional wind spell of the game, but you know, they just didn't get around to implementing them, or like whatever they wanted to do with it, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they wanted the player to have access to Arrow and Arrow at some point, or maybe they didn't, who knows. But there's also a couple of spells that, you know, the player never gets access to, or I guess I should say that the player does have access to, but aren't really applicable for Return Magic, because, like, you know, most like all the white magic spells, for example, are flagged to be returnable, but you know, monsters aren't going to cast that on you, so it never really comes up. But like, if for some reason they did, it would work. So Amaranth did about 1,000 damage with that Return Magic. If Amaranth actually casted Firaga, which unfortunately, this is kind of a flaw of this, we can't really see, but his would actually be stronger than that because... So, I think I mentioned way back when that monster versions of spells are technically unique per monster, basically. Right? So, like, monster encounters have, you know, their own spells that they cast. Like, Garuda's Faraga here is not the same as your Faraga. Because in the case, for example, of this Faraga, Garuda's Faraga has a power of 52, whereas Vivi's that we just got access to actually has a power of 72. Which is kind of a big difference. Let me also double check on this one, because I checked the power, but I forgot what the accuracy of stop is. So I believe, is it like 60? Oh, it's only 40. Man, Vivi's stop only has 40% accuracy, which is pretty low, obviously. However, Garuda's that it casts on you actually has an accuracy of 100. So, Garuda's stop spell is much more accurate than yours. And this is kind of a reoccurring trend. Is that generally when monsters use status spells on you, theirs are much more accurate than ours to kind of compensate for the fact that there's one of, you know, maybe one or two of them and four of us. I guess, which, you know, may or may not be flimsy reasoning, but that's kind of just how it goes. However, because Garuda's version of the spell is much more accurate, that actually comes to our benefit with Return Magic. Because if Garuda casts Stop on Amaranth, Amaranth will return, you know, Return Magic with Garuda's 100% accurate Stop spell, so it'll pretty much always work. And that's kind of one of the huge benefits of Return Magic. Is that, especially for monsters that cast status spells, it basically makes it extremely easy to actually, like, hit them with their own status spells, right? This will come up a lot later, I feel like, but this is just a good spot to show it because I feel like Garuda is just like a clean example of this because it has a magic spell and a status spell with differing amounts. Right now, technically, it's our disadvantage to return its Faraga because its Faraga is actually weaker than the player's version. Although up until this point, a lot of monsters have also been using, you know, Fyra, Bluzara, Thundara, which, because they're using them on, you know, Disc 2, late Disc 2, and even Disc 3 now, we're only starting to finally see Tier 3 magic. Their versions were actually a lot stronger than Vivi's. Watch this miss, by the way. It'd be funny. But yeah, this version just will pretty much always hit when returned by Amaranth here. Which is like a good, like, if you want to AP farm and don't want to experience farm, honestly, you can just sit in this fight and wait for them to just cast Stop on a Return Magic guy and they'll just stop them for free, basically. Which is, maybe a stupid, degenerate strategy and, like, not worth it at all, especially because if you really want to AP farm, there's plenty of enemies that give 3 AP at this point that are pretty easy to just, like, defeat in some arbitrary way because they are pretty low level. Like, what were the Iron Knights giving? Do they give 2? Like, they're the same thing, but they're obviously way lower level at this point, so it'd be pretty easy to hit them with a Stop or a Break or something. But, I digress. They're... Right, I want to show up the frog stuff. Yeah, alright. So, the last thing I'll probably show off is just the whole Frog and the Scoundrel sequence with Sid here. So, see you in a bit here. Wowee! Look at us, we're a frog. I love having... It really is crazy. The instant I push the start record button, the dogs freak the fuck out upstairs. Truly wonderful. Well, you can enjoy listening to them bark. Anyways. Froggy, go loggy. The strategy for frogs is, like I said, pretty simple. Yeah. Try to concentrate while you listen to it over and over again. Push the button like 3 times basically when he turns around, and then you're probably good. You You know, the sad part is, I actually already did this, but then my emulator crashed and the whole recording for the froggy stuff got totally borked. Which is unfortunate because this is like the most annoying thing to have to redo. Isn't that funny? Because like there's no save point between this and the boss, so... Oh, Jesus. You got plenty of time though, so like 6 minutes is a lot of time, so like... The reality is that you really don't need to rush. Like, if you get greedy, you can try to do more, but like, you can turn around fast enough in between, potentially, that it's like, I just don't feel like it's worth it. Because like, look how fast he went there. If I'd done one more, I would have gotten got. Three just feels like a good number. But yeah, so this, you know, red light, green light game, they put this timer in the top left, and they're like, oh man, you know, if I run out of time, you know, everyone's gonna die. But like, they kind of, it's kind of funny, I guess, because you just did a boss. But they're kind of generous to you. I mean, first of all, the timer is like a lot of time, so like you really don't have to worry about this. Like, if you mess up a bunch at the start, maybe, but like, just take your time, because like especially when you're far enough into the screens move, it's like you don't want to screw yourself here. Regardless, fuck man, he turns around so fast sometimes. But jeez Louise. I want to show off all the dialogue too, because we didn't do everything right. Oh, we're close enough that he's gonna... There we go. And he does his extra turnaround just to really make sure you're spooked. So, obvious, like, this is pretty obvious, but like, you can examine the scales, blah blah blah. If you jump onto it before you put anything on, it just doesn't work. Gotta put on the left side too, ribbit. I already examined the weights last time, so if you put the wrong weights on, which one cute little detail too, if you haven't examined them, it doesn't tell you what they are, it just gives them a letter each. Like, it's just weights A, B, C, and D, which is a nice little touch. So you actually have like an actual like benefit to examining them. I mean, obviously if you know what they are, it doesn't matter, but... Now what, Ribbit? If we remove them at this point... You'll start to take one off, but they're nice to you until they just fade to black there. Let's put A, B, and D on, and then we'll try to jump on. So yeah, if you put the wood one on here at all, the wood one is the lightest one, so it just won't work. We try to climb on, just doesn't quite work. I'm still heavier than the other side. And it'll immediately cut to black and just kick you off, which is nice. At least they don't make you take it off. Like, I feel like they could have been super mean here. You also can't back out if you decide to, like, actually put them on. So if you click this one option by accident and then you don't know what to do at this point, it's like, well, you have to sit here and watch this lengthy animation. Ain't that fun? And at this point, it's like, well, I can remove the weights. Anyways, so they're very nice to you with this timer because, first of all, like I said, they give you lots of time. Like, you can say I've just been fucking around, and I still got plenty of time. Like, if you mess up a bunch, you can definitely get screwed here. But like, the thing is that if you actually run out of time, I'm not sure why they did this. I guess my best guess is just because, like I said, you just did a boss fight and you've watched some cutscenes, so they didn't want you to just like get a game over from what is essentially a mini game that can be kind of daunting at first, like especially if you get screwed. Like if you run out of time, no, I didn't make it, Ribbit. Should I try again? And then you're just allowed to try again. Which I think is funny. And then there's a couple pieces of dialogue for messing up. I should stand still when the creature looks this way. You know, if only I was a man again, I wouldn't fear that beast. I do find it funny to think that there's like on some instinctual level, one more try, that Sid is afraid of this thing. Like he knows it's in a cage, right? And he even is like self-aware enough to be like, yeah, if I was human, I wouldn't give a shit. But it's just like, on some instinctual level, he's just scared of this thing. If you want to get greedy at the start, you can just like button mash a bunch and like that saves you some time right there. But I'm actually curious though about one thing, because this is something I actually don't know. I've never run out of time during I've maybe run out of time like once or twice, but just because like I'll get greedy with this first part and then just mess up. I don't think I've ever actually run out of time during the part where I put the stuff on. But I am kind of curious about what actually happens if you say I give up. Do you actually get a game over? Like, you probably do. Like, that's my guess. Like, that would make sense. What else would it be? But you never know, right? I'm just gonna slowly have fun and, like, put Sid into a funny little pose here. Like, look at, like, imagine he has the like, what would you even call it? Like the insane core strength to be able to be just perfectly still like this. By the way, I do love that, like when you really think about it, it's like not only does he have his mustache, he has his cape still, and he has a tiny little cape, which is like, like there's something so funny about this frog wearing a tiny cape. Like my best comparison is it's like Nibbler from Futurama. Like, I don't know why there's something funny about the fact that he has the little cape. This is such like a funny little like mood. Like, I don't know what you'd like. I wouldn't call it a mood killer because like obviously this is on purpose. It's like it's this tense situation, but then they give you the goofy music, and like Sid's just like super like he's a funny guy when he's a frog, you know. The fact that this is his solution is to like do this red light green light thing. Like, if you think about it, you think he could just, like, walk in here backwards or even something. But I guess if he has to get close to the cage is the problem. If he already had the key, he could probably just go around it, because the table is on the left anyways. He could just jump over it. It's kind of funny to think that even though he's a frog, he's actually, like, not that high a hopper, which, like, I guess is actually pretty realistic, given he's a huge-ass frog. Like, and, you know, a huge frog really wouldn't be able to jump all that high. That's kind of the whole like cube size cube law or whatever it's called. Square cube law, is that what it's called? I actually don't remember. But you know what I mean? It's like where things get bigger and they become harder to like maneuver. You know, like the fastest, or I should say the most agile creatures on it tend to be smaller and leaner. Like rabbits, for example, can just like turn on like a dime because they're small, so they don't have much mass to maneuver. Whereas, you know, an elephant, like bigger creatures can potentially get faster, but they have, you know, it's hard for them to like stop that speed once they get going. Right? I forget what the task of this looks like. The task of this, if I remember correctly, doesn't even like look particularly impressive because you can't actually move Sid all that fast during it. Like there's like a bit of like a buffer. Where it's like you can't just move like 1 inch per frame, right? You can't press the button like every other frame to move like lightning fast. I think, well, actually maybe you can, but it doesn't look as fast as you might expect it to look, you know? I accidentally bumped my microphone there. I'm still annoyed that this crashed because I have a speed up button on the emulator I've used a couple times, right? For some reason my emulator like crashed when I used it during the last when I was recording this specific section before. And that's fun and also annoying and also scary because like I hope that doesn't happen in the future. I hope that was just like some random fluke. Man, it really goes to show 6 minutes feels like an eternity when I'm just sitting here talking about nothing. I do like the absolutely like bare bones animation of the sand falling from the hourglass there, where it's like it's literally just like a tiny little line repeating over and over again. It might even just be like repeating pixels over and over again, because it's like when you really look at it, there's only like I think like 2 or 3 like specific like frames of the head animation. It's just up and down, and that's all they really need. So this is a game over right here. We're gonna, you know, end off this half hour with a game over, which will be funny. No, I didn't make it. Should I try again? Let's give up. Do you really want to end the game? Warning, the game will resume at your last save point. Huh. Wow, yeah. They actually give you a warning even, just to make sure, like, yeah, no, if you give up, it's a game over. It's kind of funny to think that Sid was like, I gotta save them, and then he's just like, I give up. This hedgehog pie, too scary. So yeah, that'll be it for this half part. See you guys later.